Hey, what's up? It's me, Meanie Mosey, and welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about One Piece chapters 1139 through 1140. We're going to be talking story, character introductions, world building, and all these little things that make this series hit every single time. There are four main things that I want to talk about that happen over these two chapters. The first one being Scopper Gaban's introduction. Don't judge me if I pronounce that wrong. We're going to talk about the freeing of Loki and it being a bad idea potentially. We're going to talk about the Scopper versus Zoro and Luffy fight. And lastly, we're going to get into some discussions about the Holy Knights, kind of what they're there for and what nefarious things that they're up to lately. So, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Now, let's get into it. So Scopper is introduced, and I found out when I was on the Moon Piece podcast last week that he has actually been a pretty big character in the One Piece world, and people have been waiting for an introduction for him for a long time. He's kind of a hippie. He says that love is free. That's kind of his whole thing. He's like a priest of love and everything. And they say that he's like Sanji in that matter. But he's also like Sanji in the fact that he is Roger's left arm. So Sanji is to Luffy as Scopper is to Roger. He is incredibly strong. We've seen him in the past when he's kind of arguing with Roger, being that voice of reason, as Sanji so often has been for Luffy. He throws axes, he is Ripley's husband, and the father of Colin, the giant child. I'll leave all the implications as to how that happened logistically to some other channels. That's real interesting though. That's real interesting. Y'all hear that he is the left arm of Roger. I hear that he is just one more person who knows the full history of the world and has kept his mouth shut, which is ironic for someone who says that they love secrets and that secrets are meant to be spread. The fact that everyone on the crew, including people like Scopper, stayed quiet about that kind of shows, I don't know what it shows, but it's like we're dealing with some big stuff here. Kind of like, what do they see? Except according to the mural in chapter 1138, which I did not forget about. I will cover it later when I have more time or something. I have notes on it and everything. I just need to I'll get to that one later. But seeing that mural and everything, I think we're gonna know the history and or the future of the world pretty soon, and then we'll also know why Roger's crew kept quiet all this time. The next main thing that happened within these chapters is everyone communicating to Luffy that freeing Loki is not the best idea. Roto says that it's a crime, it's illegal. Luffy just goes around saying like, oh, after we free Loki, we can do such and such. Zoro reminds Luffy that they have not made a decision yet. Scopper warns them against it, asks them what they're going to do if everything goes wrong, to which Luffy says he'll Control Z, undo it, put the chains back on him, which is something that we've only known Shanks to do in this story so far. Shanks and Luffy are on the same hierarchical level, but as far as power level, we're not sure. Honestly, we don't know. We haven't seen that much of Shanks. And now we're seeing double of Shanks. So that's another thing too. I haven't seen Red, so maybe we have seen more of Shanks, but I haven't. So just going off of what I know, except Luffy's getting stronger all the time. So yeah, I'm sure he can do it. If he says he can do it, I'm sure he can do it. But my kind of thoughts about this, about people communicating that freeing Loki is a bad idea, I think that Loki is a good character. I think that he is going to be a benefit. I think it's going to be in their best interest to get him out of his chains for a few reasons. One is that he is shown to be a kind person, as you can tell in the earlier chapters when he was on the phone with someone. They said, I think you're actually a nice person. He was argumentative about that. He denied it, but I mean, you can tell that it's true because when the Holy Knights were torturing him and Gunko was shooting her little arrows at him, all of the animals in the forest were coming after him, trying to attack the Holy Knights and protect Loki. And I'm thinking they wouldn't do that if Loki had only usurped his authority over them. They did that because they actually cared about Loki, because he had shown kindness to them in some way or another. And he called them his friends. So the fact that he makes friends with animals is actually really giving Disney Princess. So I don't know how bad you can be if you give Disney Princess. Then the next reason why I think Loki is good is because there's all this kinds of shady stuff that is going around with King Harald, and there is actually one more additional shady thing that went on with King Harald that I'll talk about later in this video. But we really don't know what happened in that battle in the castle. We don't know how that sword ended up through Jarl's head. We know that Harald stood for kind of equality and everything, but we also have the other side where he did not want to be equal with the other giants. He's only trying to be equal with the humans and things like that. So is he really for equality? Not really. He's talking about it. He's not being about it. So Harald seems to be kind of a hypocrite. Loki seems to be Harald's antagonist. Therefore, he might have good reason for why he opposed him. So I think Loki is good, and I think that him being out of his chains might be kind of a... Well, the giants ain't never liked him anyway, so why would they want him to be free in the first place? They prophesied that he was going to be cursed when he was born. They called him cursed. So I think that's mainly their own perception for why Loki is a bad dude. Moving on from that, we're getting into the part where Scopper fights Luffy. And you can call it a fight, but that's kind of a stretch. He really seems to be more like testing Luffy. He's heard stories about him. We see that he's had a conversation with Shanks about him. And so he's kind of throwing his axes around and seeing what Luffy does in response. He sees that Luffy has the straw hat, says it would look better on your head. He calls Shanks a cheapskate. Luffy says, don't call Shanks a cheapskate. He tests Luffy's crew. He attacks Luffy kind of like rapid succession, and then Zoro has to step in and protect him. He says that his crew's good. He sees that Luffy can transform into a Nika-like being. He does verify that Luffy turns all white, so it's kind of like stuff that he wants to see for his own eyes. Maybe stuff that Shanks already told him about Luffy that he's now verifying. All of that allows Luffy to pass Scopper's test because he yields. And if this man did not want Luffy to have the key, Luffy would not have the key. But he kind of threw it behind Luffy, says the thing you want is already in your possession. I'm kind of thinking about the last thing that Scopper said. He said, if Elbaf is still standing by the end of this, come find me. So he obviously knows, like, I'm sure he knows that the Holy Knights are running around in their kingdom. He's probably seen that circle that was in the middle of the throne room. He's taken a backseat to this whole situation, which I'm kind of surprised a little bit, given the possibility of Colin being kidnapped. I wonder if he would go and help save his own son. His son is 20 years old though, so I don't know. Maybe he's like, you're on your own, kid. He's kind of like pulling a Rayleigh in this situation. And that's kind of what I expected. All of Oda's old strong men characters, excluding Hyo. Or at least all of the old men on Roger's crew. I'm thinking Crocus and Rayleigh were both kind of like, you kids, go do what you will. Solve your own problems. I've solved plenty of problems and back in my day and and all that. So he definitely knows stuff's about to go down, but he's not going to do anything about it. But he did pass along the key, and so I guess he's thinking, my work here is done. The next section and the last section of these two chapters that I want to talk about is kind of the Holy Knights and what they've been getting up to. The Holy Knights are planning on kidnapping the Elbaf kids, and to do this, they need to bring help. We learned a little bit about their magic summoning circles. Either Gunko is bad at summoning or she doesn't care, because she grabbed this man's whole entire living room. He's sitting in there in his underwear. He was on a phone call, and it looks like this relationship with the summoner of the circle and those being summoned, it's not like a phone call where you can ask someone to show up, but instead you can just grab them without their permission. And maybe it's like hierarchy based, like, because these people kind of seem to be under Shammy in the chain, or if Gunko is Shammy's right hand girl, then they are under her. or something like that. Maybe you can summon people who are lower ranked than you, but someone couldn't just bring Shammy wherever they wanted. But it also seems to be kind of non-consensual on both sides, because they meant to grab one person and a second person came along. We're introduced to St. Somers and St. Killingham. Somers asked Shammy if he was paying a visit to Harold's grave. Naturally, like as if that was something that he would be expected to do, or if it's not abnormal for him to do. Like the Holy Knights had that type of relationship with Harold, and that is the shady thing that I was saying. Why would it just be assumed that if someone's visiting Elbaf that they're visiting Harold's grave? Like, do they like pay respects, or are they deeply involved with him? What's going on? Are they doing research? Kind of like, why would you expect him to be there? The chapter closes with them talking through the logistics of kidnapping the Elbaf kids. Shanks tells Gunko that she could make it into a game, which is very punk hazard of him. My question for you is, do you think that the Holy Knights are going to get away with it? Do you think they're going to sail off of this island with the Elbaf kids on their ship, and the rescuing of the Elbaf giant kids is going to become a multi-arc problem? Or is it all going to be solved and wrapped up in this one tiny arc? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments, because I am genuinely not sure what would happen here. The other things that we're dealing with right now are the freeing of Loki, which is definitely going to happen, but the question is for that is if it's going to be a help or a distraction from the kidnapped kids situation. The mural and the history of the impending future of the world, the mystery of King Harold and what he did, and most importantly, how that sword ended up in Jarl's head. Not to mention, the kids are also a problem because they hate violence and they won't understand why everyone is trying to fight the nice Holy Knights that are just playing a game with them. They're going to be so upset. They're going to be inconsolable. Only Colin is going to want to, like, save the world or something like that. And yeah, I'm wondering if Colin is kidnapped, if Scopper and Ripley are going to get involved, like I mentioned earlier. And now that I think of it, I don't think that we've ever seen a healthy, happy couple together in present day One Piece. I think this might be a first for Oda. And so I'm wondering if we'll get any scenes where Scopper and Ripley are together, fighting together, or just talking, or just hanging out. Because everybody that we meet in One Piece either had loving parents or did not have loving parents, or their parents didn't love each other, had loving parents but they died, had evil parents, had a single parent, was an orphan. I don't think we've ever seen like a full family unit. Dang, yeah, no, this is a first. I want to see them together. I want to see them together as a family, being all cute and abnormal and things like that. Alright, well, that is it for One Piece chapters 1139 through 1140. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, which I assume you did since you're watching this part, go ahead and like it, leave a comment, even if it's just an emoji, and subscribe. It is a small click for you, but it lets YouTube know that you enjoyed this video and you want more One Piece fans to see it. And if you don't want YouTube deciding that you never need to see my videos again, be sure and hit that notification bell so you can find out the next time that I post. I will catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and remember that Jesus loves you more than Luffy loves me. Bye.